I, 36 female, have a brother, 38, and we have 3 half-siblings from our dad's second marriage, 25 female, 23 male, and 21 male. My brother and I lost our mom as kids. Our dad took a year and told us that was enough time hanging on to the past. He remarried within the year of saying that, so a little under 2 years after the death of our mom. He told us once people die, they need to be left in the past after a period of time, and you work on filling their role and replacing them as much as you possibly can. The whole thing was gross. He would become extremely frustrated when we didn't leave mom in the past. His second wife was also part of this mindset. It worked for her, so she pushed for us to do the same. When she was pregnant with my half-sister, she told us it would be unfair for the baby to be born into an ununited family and that my brother and I had to accept that she was our mom now and she had taken her place. Dad was cheering her on with that little talk. My brother and I were never close to our half-siblings. They picked up a lot of their parents' attitude about we should leave mom in the past and let the second wife be the mom. They blamed us because others knew we were not a true nuclear family and instead were a blended family. I never cared. My brother enjoyed seeing dad and second wife have egg on their face when they would claim we were her kids, and people knew because of us that she was a stepmother at best, but more likely a dad's wife. The second wife died a few months ago. Half-siblings all believed dad would be widowed for the rest of his life and not remarried because he loved their mom so much. They wanted to talk to him about having one of them live with him or for him to live with half-sister. He told them he was already looking for his replacement wife. Half of my siblings went nuts and tried to involve my brother and me, but this has nothing to do with us. Neither of us has talked to dad in almost 2 decades. We hardly talk to them even. My half-sister decided she wanted a face-to-face talk about this with me, where she tried to say, as the only 2 girls, and how unfair it was to her mom for her dad to replace her. She told me we needed to get on board and help them with dad and figure out how to stop him. I told her that was none of our concern and dad replaced my mom, so I wouldn't care if he replaced someone I never cared about. She told me I should care, and her mom did an amazing job with my brother and me. I told her she and her brothers are adults and are way older than my brother and I were when we lost mom and dad remarried, so they can figure this crap out with dad without us. I also reiterated I would not lend any assistance with this. I was told I was a crappy sister, person, daughter, and that I suck. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. What in the goldfish memory is this? They forgot that their stepdad had already shown he had no problem remarrying. You're right, definitely not your circus and not your monkeys. Your half-siblings are now experiencing what you went through. I wonder why they thought your dad would be any different now. Well, because it's their mum. The dad clearly loved their mum more than the first one, or they're delusional basically. Some people cannot be alone and your father seems to fit into that category. Whether or not your father marries for a 3rd time is his decision. He didn't care what his children felt about remarrying after his first wife died. What makes your half-siblings think this time will be any different? You're all adults, and it's not a problem that has to be solved, and you told your sister as much. The audacity of the half-siblings to say those things. They can deal with it just like the older siblings did. At least this time they're adults rather than just children. It could be looked at as it should be easier and more acceptable this time as they're in their early to late 20s, so they will either have their own lives or will soon. At least they're not mid-teens at most, given the age difference, who had no choice but to live with it, literally. It amazes me sometimes how utterly oblivious people can be when irony, karma, or whatever you want to call it, just smacks them in the face like a dead fish. I'm baffled that, rather than finally thinking, oh wow, I finally get where OP and her brother were coming from, we should probably discuss this, maybe I should apologize, or something along those lines, she instead goes down the path of denial and, but it's different in this case, i.e. it's different because the stepfamily is the one affected now. Sorry about this situation, I understand the no contact. I can't believe I have to say this, but not everyone lives near a huge shopping area. I don't even know where the nearest Target is because it's not close. Sometimes your options get really small really quickly with physical shopping. I'm so tired of this. My daughter-in-law is extremely picky about what goes into her home. It must follow all of her rules. It can't be from a company she doesn't support. Basically, there's no plastic, no overstimulating colors, no small pieces, and no large toys since they take up too much space. I've tried time after time to get her something she'd like. I've asked for lists, but I never get any. I thought for my granddaughter's birthday, preschooler a few months ago, I found the perfect wood train set. Apparently not, it was too loud for them to play with. I tried to get her a nice knife set, but she didn't support the company. I don't even know what was wrong with the company. Pioneer Women Knives. It was a decent set, not super high-end. I reached my limit today. I got my granddaughter her own stuff for a Christmas tree in her room. I had permission to do this. We went shopping and she picked out her own light and ornaments. I bought what she wanted and it got set up. Well, she saw the tree and was angry as there was too much plastic on the tree. They're ornaments. I wasn't buying glass ones the kid could break. I told her I was done. I wasn't getting any gifts for the family because she was impossible. She called me a jerk and I just need to work harder. My son is mad at me for arguing with his wife. Not the idiot. Stop trying to please someone who can't be pleased. Give your granddaughter a gift card to a store she likes and be done with it. Your son and daughter-in-law are rude and ungrateful and have unrealistic expectations. I would have started to give the same treatment you receive and criticize every gift they give. No gift cards, they're made of plastic. No cash either, it's made from paper and, oh, the poor trees. The daughter-in-law sounds like an ultra-crunchy person who won't trust people no matter what when it comes to material goods. I would guess she won't make a wish list because she doesn't trust anyone to get it exactly right. Yeah, I thought crunchy folk loved wooden train sets. Next time, get daughter-in-law a cubic foot of wood and tell her that her gift is in there, she just has to work hard to find it. Whatever happened to being grateful for anything you receive? The problem with your daughter-in-law is that she's imposing her views and tastes on her children. I also dislike bright colours and loud noises, but when one chooses to have children, one must prioritise their happiness over one's own. Many children love bright colours and noise. OP, donate to the plastic-free charity in daughter-in-law's name. That will put her right in a corner. If she's so against plastic, she can't whine about it. I bet she'll change her tune when she gets this instead of an actual gift. You don't need to try harder. Daughter-in-law needs to try harder not to be so insufferable. Don't be too hard on your son for taking her side. He has to live with the woman. I recently went on a holiday to Japan with my son, pre-tween, and while we were there, he tried some delicious biscuits, which he really wanted to buy and share with his classmates once he got back. Obviously, I was happy to purchase some additional and found it really sweet that he wanted to share with everyone. I didn't think about it at the time of purchase since we were mid-holiday in a different country. However, when we were back and I was packing my son's bag for his first day back at school, I suddenly remembered that he had one classmate, let's call him Joe, who has a gluten allergy and wouldn't be able to eat these biscuits. But it was too late for me to do anything about this, and the shops were closed, so I wouldn't be able to buy an alternative. Plus, they wouldn't be from Japan anyway and would be from the local supermarket. I also wouldn't have had time to pick anything up in the morning because I work full-time. Son was happy bringing them to school and said everyone also enjoyed them. However, I got an angry phone call from Joe's mum saying that I shouldn't have let my son bring in those biscuits, knowing that her son would be excluded. She said that I should cater to allergies, especially children's allergies, which I would understand if it was, for example, a life-threatening peanut allergy. But should gluten intolerance be treated with the same extreme caution? I'm not sure if I was the idiot for still allowing my son to bring in the biscuits despite my knowing one kid wouldn't be able to have any. Edit, I know about Joe's intolerance because it's happened before with other parents bringing in classroom snacks and events. Joe wouldn't eat any of the snacks brought in unless they've been made 100% sure there's no gluten in them. And when there's been a school event, I think they always have something separate for him. For the biscuits my son brought in, the ingredients were in Japanese, so the teacher let Joe know and he didn't have any. Not the idiot, I'm celiac, my 5-year-old is also, and even if you sent something gluten-free in for him, I wouldn't have allowed my son to eat it. The risk is too much. I make sure that my son has high-value snacks with his teacher, just for this scenario. You can't include every allergy scenario. There are egg allergies, soy allergies, etc. So it's up to the parents of these kids to make sure they have safe treats on hand. I love people who think that the world is spinning around them. It's a nice gesture to bring sweets from Japan. It's also nearly impossible to buy something gluten-free even in Tokyo, and even if you get something from one of the few bakeries, it's not so tasty, trust me. If the kid has an allergy, the mum should explain that he has to be careful and not eat contaminated products. Saying that it's your fault and your son shouldn't have brought sweets because of the allergies of one kid, it's so unfair. It was a move like this. I demanded the school shop have only gluten pastries because my son could not buy stuff in it. I'd make 99 people miserable to not make one sad. I think you are the idiot. You did think about the issue the night before. I think it would have been best to go to a shop in the morning, or if that wasn't possible, hold off on sending the treats to school until you had a chance to buy a substitute for Joe. It wouldn't matter that it wasn't from Japan. Kids want treats, and it's hard to watch the other kids all eat treats while you just sit there. Finally, I'm all for Joe's mom advocating for him. My husband, 41, and I, female 34, have been together for 7 years. Recently, my husband's parents got approved for a visa to come to the US. They waited a very long time for this visa to get approved and were afraid it would get denied. I have no problem with them visiting. I was happy to hear they got the visa. When it came time to buy the plane tickets, I told my husband that I felt that coming for a month was a reasonable amount of time. My husband got really angry and yelled at me that his parents could come for as long as they wanted to. Of course, I got upset at his reaction because I felt he was being selfish and not considering me as someone who also lived in the household. I work from home and we live in a tiny apartment, 880 square feet. Them coming for so long would complicate things for me and put me in an uncomfortable position, especially because I don't speak their language. Due to his parents' mistake and his vacation time, my husband decided that they would stay for almost 3 months. I wasn't happy with this decision, but tried to understand him. It's his parents, and there is a chance that they may not be able to come back. I was really trying to be understanding. To make things more complicated, another family also got a visa approved, and his parents decided that they wanted them to come visit at the same time. I told my husband okay, but told them that the space was small and suggested they stay 2 weeks. He still didn't consider my feelings or the situation, and now the other family member is staying for 1 month. I was frustrated at the idea that a third person was coming for so long, and he didn't consider my feelings when making this decision. So to make things easier for them and for me, I decided to go to my parents' home for a few weeks. Things were okay during this time. I decided to return to the apartment to meet this family member and spend time with them. My husband has mentioned that he wants to take his family to a different state for vacation. We talked and I understood he would buy weekday tickets to make things easier for me. Yesterday I found out that he bought tickets to go over the weekend and he didn't even ask me if I wanted to join or if I was okay with that. Nothing. It made me feel very sad and upset that he didn't consider me when making these decisions, especially because he bought the tickets days ago and didn't even feel like I should know. I was very upset. I felt like I wanted to cry, so I went to my room. My husband got upset at my reaction and left the house with his family. After a few hours, they returned and I asked him to talk. I told him his actions made me feel betrayed, left out and unloved. He got super angry and started yelling at me. His family was in the room next door and could hear his yelling. I was trying to express my emotions respectfully, but that seemed to trigger him even more. His argument is that my behavior ruined his parents' trip, and now they feel uncomfortable, and that the only thing they've done is be nice to me, which I agree with. They're lovely people and have treated me nicely. I don't feel he understands my feelings. I feel he's made these unilateral decisions. He puts his family's needs first and above mine, and I feel I reached a breaking point. I do understand his desire to please his family and make them happy, but I feel after the fight we had last night, things are awkward and weird among everyone, and his family is obviously on his side. So I feel extremely uncomfortable in my own house. I don't know what to do. Am I the idiot for reacting the way I did? Should I go back to my parents' house? Not the idiot. 5 people in 880 square feet. Is he crazy? Go back to your parents. Just leave. Don't call or ask what they're doing or where they're going. Basically, ghost him and see how long it takes for him to realize you've left. Every single time you open your mouth, he flips out. Why would you stay with him? He's very selfish and only cares about himself. Go back to your parents' house permanently and ditch this guy. I bet anything he yelled because he wanted them to hear. He wants them to think he's in charge. He's being disrespectful. I also don't like to jump on the just leave bandwagon, but I would just leave. This behavior didn't just occur out of the blue. These traits have been there all this time. 7 years and she never knew this guy. Sis, be honest. Your marriage was a crap show long before the in-laws arrived. This man doesn't care about you, your feelings, or your opinions. He's shown you who he is. Believe him. Stop trying to kiss his butt. There's no way you should tolerate him talking to you this way. Heck no. You teach people how to treat you. He is dismissive, disrespectful, and disregarding you. Pack your bags, take your butt back to your parents, go no contact, and let his toxic butt deal with his family. Hang out with your family and friends, and enjoy yourself. Do things that put a smile on your face. When he grows up and is ready, hubby can contact you. Take care, sis. You deserve nothing but peace and happiness.